What is up, world? It's your boy Ton, and you are listening to the Wonton Wealth Podcast. Here, I'm going to unravel anything and everything commercial real estate related. And more importantly, we're going to add abundant value. So if you're ready, buckle up your eardrums. Today, we're going to talk about something that you might find just fucking silly. And you're probably going to be like, is this dude serious right now? But it's tripped me up so many times, and I don't want to see the same thing happen to you. We're going to be talking about dates today. That's right. The dates that go into your leases. In your commercial leases, you're going to see two types of dates. The first one is going to be your effective date. This is the big day. This is the day your lease officially kicks into gear, and it's like the launch pad of your entire relationship with your tenant. Once this date rolls around, the terms and conditions of your lease become binding for yourself and the tenants you're signing on. However, this isn't always the date that the tenants will start paying you rent. And why do you think that is? Well, because a lot of times there's a lot of shit that needs to happen before they start to pay you rent. For example, let's say you have a beautiful 2,000 square foot space in your strip center that a restaurant, let's say it's Chick-fil-A, and they'd like to take the space. You go through all the clauses of the lease and you guys finally come to an agreement. And mind you, these processes usually take several months because you got attorneys involved and whatnot. But finally, you get the lease inked up. So now the day you sign the lease is the effective date of the agreement. And that could be specified within the lease as well. So let's say, for example, it's May 1st. You and Chick-fil-A sign the lease on May 1st. And the lease also specifies that the effective date is May 1st. So May 1st is the date that you start your relationship with the Chicken King. But the main issue is that they need to get their space renovated, or as we call it, a built out to their liking. You know, if you see all the Chick-fil-A's out there, they have their sign, they have a specific colorway, they have a specific landscaping, and when you walk into the inside, they have a specific flow to it. You know, there's a counter, they got their signs, they got seating, and it's all purpose built for them. And of course, renovations like this will take time. And on top of that, they got to get permits for all the construction, and they got to deal with the city for a certificate of occupancy. So they're not going to want to pay you rent until all that shit's taken care of. Because if they pay you rent now on May 1st, they're not going to be open for business, one. And two, they're not going to be making any money yet. And so that's where the second date comes in, which is the commencement date. So let's say in this example, their whole process of getting everything renovated takes 90 days. And obviously, there's going to be contingencies in there for them to be able to open and operate for business. If they're not able to get their certificate of occupancy or CO, they're not going to be able to operate their business. So once again, they're not going to be able to pay you. So it's essentially an out for them from the lease. But for simplicity's sake, let's say everything's approved, everything went smooth, and that they got the reno done in 90 days. And in those 90 days, they got their CO. So within the lease, they're probably going to say, we need 90 days in order to get all our ducks in a row in order to start paying you rent and open for business. So then 90 days after that effective date would be your lease commencement date. This is the date that Chick-fil-A will start paying you rent. In short, it's kind of like 3 months of free rent. However, in reality, it's more like 3 months of getting their shit together and open for business so that they can actually pay you. So 90 days from May 1st, we got the whole month of May, whole month of June, whole month of July. So then August 1st would be their lease commencement date. Now, there are also going to be stipulations that say that the commencement date can happen earlier than a specified time frame. So the date can sometimes be variable and not set in stone, which means that when you're getting your lease filled out, you won't know what that lease commencement date is, because once again, there's going to be a couple hiccups and contingencies down the road. For example, if, let's say, for some reason within 90 days, Chick-fil-A is not able to open for business because the city's being slow, their contractors are fucking up, whatever. So then that timeline is always going to be pushed back, which is why oftentimes you'll have an addendum that specifies the lease commencement date, or it's going to be part of an exhibit within your lease to be filled out when that lease commencement date comes. Sometimes you're going to have an effective date and a commencement date that's going to be exactly the same, which makes it a lot easier, but it's not always going to be the case. And in those situations, you're probably going to have a tenant that's ready to rock and roll from day one. And sometimes you might be giving up concessions like free rent for a few months. So your dates, once again, are going to differ. So why does this all matter? Well, understanding the difference between the effective date and the commencement date can save you from some really deep headaches down the road. Imagine you're signing a lease on January 1st and you're expecting that rent's going to be coming in right away, only to find out that your commencement date is a month, 2 months, 3 months down the road. That's a month to 3 months that you're not going to get paid. So as a landlord, you have to be cognizant of these dates and know when will be coming in so that you can effectively manage your cash flow and your project. I know it sounds simple, but it can get complicated. And when you're wrapped up in all the legalese, it's going to get even more complicated. So remember, one is the date that the lease becomes effective, and the other is the date that you're going to start getting paid. Read the fine print, know your dates. And that's a wrap. If you've made it this far, that means you've listened to the entire episode, so thank you. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening from. And if you've learned something or found it useful, share it with one of your homies. And if you want to get in touch with me, I'm pretty active on IG. My handle is pro_TANH. Reach out, let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, or what you want to hear about in the future. I'm here to tailor this to you. Until next time.